Welcome, everybody, to the first podcast for SDPodcast1a. My name is Brock Gillespie. A little bit about myself. I am a former musician. I do a lot of different work in media, and I have fallen in love with podcasts over the last year. I'm a huge fan of the Joe Rogan podcast. That's where it got started. I would say it's probably one of the best podcasts in the country. And I just became a big fan of it. I got into The Fighter and the Kid, Brian Callen and Brennan Schaub. Watch that or listen to that all the time. I watch it on YouTube as well. I do like Brennan Schaub's new show, Below the Belt. And I also am a big fan of Chael Sonnen. And so my idea is that I'm sure that everybody's familiar with Howard Stern, and they do a wrap-up show at the end of the Howard Stern show. And I always found the wrap-up show to be interesting because it's guys commenting on what went on during the show. And I thought, it'd be kind of cool to do a wrap-up show for these 4 podcasts, and that's what I'm attempting to do. So the show's going to consist of a little bit of wrap-up topics from those 4 shows, as well as maybe a little bit of current event stuff, obviously a lot of MMA talk, maybe some golf and some other sports will get mentioned, and we do also go over current events. So if anything important is happening out there in the world, I'm sure we're going to comment on it. This is my first podcast, so bear with me a little bit as far as just getting used to talking on the microphone and so forth, but I'm very excited about this podcasting thing, and I hope this thing takes off. So as far as subjects go, the first subject I wanted to talk about was the Joe Rogan situation. I don't know if you saw the end of, most people probably left. You're at the bar, you're partying with friends, you left and didn't hear the post conference, or I shouldn't say conference. Right after the event's done, Rogan, Jimmy Smith, and the other guy who does play-by-play will talk a little bit about the event. So if you were able to see this, which I was, it was a little strange. Joe Rogan, I wouldn't say bashed Khabib, but, he definitely didn't come off as sounding like the biggest Khabib fan. And, he kind of made reference to the fact that Khabib's stand-up maybe wasn't all it could have been. It did come off a little bit like he wasn't a huge fan of Khabib's. I think he saw what all of us saw. Khabib's stand-up is good. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably world class. But is it as good as Conor's stand-up? Is it as good as, maybe some of the top guys' stand-ups out there? No, it's not. It's not. Rogan, during the broadcast of the fight, was commenting on how Khabib was moving backwards as he was, moving out of the way of these punches, and that moving backwards is not a technically sound way of moving away from punches, and that maybe a skilled striker would take advantage of that. Khabib had made numerous mentions during the post-fight press conference that his team was upset that he tried to stand up with Al.